Hi, and welcome back this week as we continue our discussion of the book Parenting in the Pews. This week we're talking about chapters 3 and 4. I thought chapter 3 did a great job of talking about why we're doing all this to begin with. Why do we have children in worship? First of all, because Jesus said this is important. Jesus puts the children in the midst of the disciples and holds them up as an example of faith. That the goal of our faith is to have faith like theirs, like that of a child. That they belong in the kingdom of heaven, not just for us to teach them and to grow them, but they help grow us as well. They have things to teach us, and we can be partners in ministry with our children. It's not just a one-way dialogue or a lecture, that we have something to learn back. And in helping them to pay attention, we might actually pay a little bit more attention to worship and what's going on as well. I thought that was just a great point to make, and maybe a little convicting for some of this, and myself included. So, and then in chapter 4, I love the idea that worship begins before we even step foot in the church. That whether we worship on Sunday mornings or Wednesday evenings or whatever day or time that we worship, that it starts before we even get to that location. That it's about preparation, keeping our routines simple but thoughtful. That we include our kids in preparing what we're going to wear, that we include our kids in preparing our offerings, and that they have a real part in that and why we do that. And that attitude is really important in talking with our kids about this is something really special, and our faith community is special, and that there's wonderful things and people there to engage with and to be in relationship with. And then that we do this as a regular part of our lives. That conveys a sense of importance to our kids, and they are much more likely then to participate in something they get a sense is really important and really special. So I'd love to hear your ideas of what you found interesting from these chapters and your questions. The questions and things that I would love to specifically hear from you on are, what have you learned from your child or from your children in faith? What have they taught you? Or what have they helped you pay more attention to? And then also, when you think about creating routines of preparation or ways to help put everyone in the right mindset for worship, those things we do before we even get to the building, what do you think would be helpful for your family to do? If you're a more experienced parent, if you have kids, especially if you have kids who are grown and you've already kind of been through this journey, I'd love to hear especially from you what worked well for you in conveying a sense of priority and importance for your children when it comes to worship. And finally, the author made a point about how the setting of the sanctuary, the setting of the place of worship and the way it's set up and the kind of furniture, that can have an impact in how we approach worship and how we feel about worship and how we do worship and how we teach it. So in terms of Trondium Lutheran in particular, what do we do that is helpful in that regard? And what might we need to do differently so that we can approach worship in a different way? Thinking about all the things that this author is talking about. So a lot going on in these two chapters and some really deep ideas to think about. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts and your questions, and looking forward to the discussion. Thanks. Have a great day.